Hello, welcome along. Thanks for joining us. It's stage one of the Tour de Romandie Féminin from Yverdon-les-Bains. And a big loop, 144.1 kilometers today for the riders. The first passage of the finish line coming for them at 42.7 kilometers into the stage with 101.5 to go. And this is where we are for this year's race. 3 stages in total, 386.87 kilometers, 5,810 meters of elevation. This is what we had ahead of us today. It's a hilly day. We start with 2 loops of 42.7 kilometers, and we have 2 climbs within that first loop. Category 3 climbs, counting towards the Queen of the Mountains classification. So after our 2 loops, we then take the big loop here with 55.5 kilometers to go, looping back round to Yverdon-les-Bains for the finish. And that is the stage profile. That is what the riders have ahead of them on today's opening stage. A tough Tour de Romandie here in the 2nd edition of this race. Last year, it was Ashley Moolman-Pasio that took the general classification by virtue of that summit finish on day 2, and she won it by 30 seconds ahead of Annemiek van Vleuten and 49 seconds ahead of Elisa Longo-Borghini. Moolman-Pasio is back to defend her title here with the AG Insurance Sudal Quick Step team. That's the temperature for the riders, 23 degrees Celsius. There's not an awful lot of wind for them to be concerned with today, about 3 kilometers an hour easterly wind, switching to a southeasterly as the afternoon goes on. Thanks for joining us. Martin McDonald and Joanna Rouse are with you to take you through today's race action. 98 riders taking the start with many teams. And, of course, the Swiss national team here. This was the rollout for the riders a little bit earlier on today. We'll really bring you up to speed with who is here. Jolanda Neff, though, Joe. You can never discount Jolanda Neff in a race like this. Yeah,
really exciting to see the mountain bike star up in a road race here, of course, in her home country of Switzerland, and never disappoints when she's out on the road. So we shall be looking forward to seeing exactly what she can do this weekend out on the road.
That was the official start. You can see the riders rolling away. It has been a really interesting start to today's stage, and out along the route. The first Queen of the Mountains point came after 9.5 kilometers into the stage, with Los Arges taking that ahead of Jolanda Neff, Ninke Vinke and Justine Hechira with the first 4 riders across the line. We're joining live pictures here with 56.1 kilometers to go. The gap sitting at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Stage 1 of the Tour de Romandie Féminin, 144.1 kilometers today from Yverdon-les-Bains, looping back around through the finish town. 2 loops of 42.7 kilometers, followed by a big loop of 55.5 kilometers. The Women's World Tour reaching round 24 here in Romandie. We're live with 55.8 kilometers to go. The gap is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And our lone leader, I'm sure we'll get a glimpse of her momentarily, but there she is, Clara Honsinger, attacking with 134 kilometers to go. The American from the EF Education Tibco SVB team, and she has held this advantage for a considerable length of time. Let's bring you up to speed with the Queen of the Mountains and the sprint so far today. So that first QOM, as we said, was taken by Los Arges, taking 5 points, Jolanda Neff taking 3, Ninke Vinke taking 2, and Justine Hechira taking 1. Through the sprint at Matot with 34.2 kilometers covered. Clara Honsinger already in the lead by that point, taking 15 points. Marie Lenette taking 10 points in second, and Eugenie Duval taking 6 points in third. FDJ Suez have been pulling on the front of the peloton for a considerable length of time. Onto the Queen of the Mountains at 84 kilometers into the stage at Niedens, and Clara Honsinger taking maximum points there ahead of Los Arges, and with Jolanda Neff third taking 2 and Justine Hechira taking the 1 point in 4th spot. So that you can already see early on here in the Tour de Romandie that riders like Los Arges have got designs on the Queen of the Mountains classification. Average speed in the first 2 hours of racing, we had 38.405 kilometers an hour. The gap you can see at 2 minutes and 50 seconds on your screen. They know they cannot discount Clara Hunsinger in this sort of situation. We'll bring up speed with your teams that you're watching. So Ashley Norman-Passio back to defend her title with the AG Insurance Sudal Quick Step team. She's got Maria Benito. Good to see her back into the team with Julia Borgström, the young Swede. Yasin Hakiro's been battling it out for the Queen of the Mountains. And then Anya Lau on the back here for that AG Insurance Sudal Quick Step team. Anya Lau, you'll remember, has been on the attack in recent races. Tour of Scandinavia. She was off the front in that one on that final stage. SD Works, the World Tour leader, Demi Vollering, is here backed up by Misha Bredevold, Niamh Fisher-Black, Christine Majerus, Marlon Reusser and Anna Shackley. So what a team from SD Works. Movistar, and we'll pause on Movistar because we're starting a new era, Joe, in world cycling. They've got Liana Lippert here. They've also got the likes of Floortje Mackaij and Katrina Allerud. But we're here for the first time after the retirement of Annemiek van Vleuten at the weekend.
Yeah, we certainly are. So Annemiek taking the start of her last race at the Simac Ladies Tour, which was finished last weekend. So yeah, it's really a big moment for the Movistar team. You know, a big moment for Liana Lippert to lead this team. And I think they've done a good job this season of sort of integrating the other riders, and they've had results from other riders as part of their team. It's not purely just been about Annemiek, and she's been that perfect role model, that perfect mentor for all the other younger riders part of their squad. So yeah, big chance now for everybody else in that team to take another step up and sort of use the legacy of Annemiek and use the learning that they've had from her and try and take some wins for themselves now. Yeah. But yeah, huge, you know, pivotal moment in women's cycling because she's been around for so long. She's been world champion multiple times. She's won so many bike races. And, you know, yeah, let's keep celebrating Annemiek and everything she's done for the sport.
Indeed. And we weren't here for Simac, and I've been lucky enough to commentate on Annemiek for most of her career. And so I'm sure she's watching our Dutch colleagues, but I think we all say a massive thank you to Annemiek because she really did change the sport in a way.
Yeah, and it's not just the results that she's had on the races that she's won, but it's been the style of racing that she's been always racing really aggressively. She's not let things like she won a world title, one of the oldest ever female winners of the World Road Race title. She's retired in her early 40s, and she just sort of ripped up the rule book really and done things her own way. And yeah, it has been spectacular to follow her career and follow her development over all these years. And like I say, all the other riders as part of that Movistar team have been able to learn from her recently, and now it's their chance this season to go it alone without her.
Yeah, it's going to be a big moment. You just saw the helicopter there just pan up from the peloton to Clara Hunsinger ahead of her. Let's go through your teams and who you're watching. Canyon SRAM, interesting team that Canyon SRAM here, and they've got a team, we would say, of the big hitters that they've brought to this one as well, like SD Works. So Kasia Niewiadoma is here, backed up by Ricardo Bauernfeind, Niamh Bradbury, Elise Chabet, Antonia Niedermeyer and Soraya Paladin. So it's probably fair to say that Canyon SRAM have brought the climbing team to this one. And for Kasia, it's so close, so many podiums over the last few seasons. Her last individual win, 2019, in the women's tour in Great Britain.
Well, it's an amazing stat that she's such a popular rider. She's a rider that you always see attacking. You're always talking about her in coverage. You're always seeing her really making races. But you're right, just missing out on that victory. And for Canyon SRAM, they've had victories from other riders this year. They've had a fantastic season as a team. Obviously, Magnus Baxter coming in as a DS, and it's really sort of turned things around for them. But for Kasia herself, I think there's a lot of fans of cycling in general, and obviously women's cycling specifically, that have followed her career and know how good she is, and she's often the one that initiates moves and makes races exciting. But this could be the week where she could potentially take that win.
So a big cheer there for Clara Hunsinger as she went past. If you're not familiar with the American, we'll come back to our teams and who else you're seeing here in this race. But Clara Hunsinger, the cyclocross rider, the now US national cyclocross champion, in her career. She'll be here just building into the start of the cross season. She's won some phenomenal races, we would say iconic races in cyclocross if you don't follow the winter sport, which starts tomorrow, by the way. You'll be able to tune in to the USCX Cup tomorrow. But Clara's won races like the Koppenberg Cross in her career as well. So such a talent in the field is Clara Honsinger, and that's why they cannot discount the American in this race. You just underestimate her at your peril. So it is great to see the American off the front, and we can see very much from the peloton in terms of they know that they've got to keep this gap to Clara Honsinger under control. They cannot let it go. Stay out above 3 minutes and towards that 3-minute point, especially with 50k to go, because she is the sort of rider that could potentially take something like this all the way to the finish on a tough circuit like we've got here.
100%. I mean, I think it went up to 3.5 minutes at one point in the gap, so they have sort of realised they need to be putting in some work now. I always think when you're in the peloton, when you see a breakaway have that sort of gap, you know that it's going to really start to get tough soon, because the peloton are going to have to start riding and get that gap under control. But certainly she's a rider that she's had quite a gap in her European programme. She rode the cyclocross season last winter. She continued with the classics up until Paris-Roubaix. Then obviously went back to the States, took a break, and then she's come back to Europe ready for Tour of Scandinavia, which was at the end of August. And now obviously, like you say, building into that cross season. So this is absolutely perfect prep for her for the cross season. But obviously, you know, to be able to win a Women's World Tour race, you know, we're at the towards the end of the season now. There's potentially some races in China coming up, but essentially this is the end of the sort of the European season for the Women's World Tour. So this is your last chance. Tomorrow was even hillier than today. And today, you know, she's gone out early on, 10 kilometres in, and gone on the attack.
And we're starting to get some reactions now. Good to see the Swiss national team getting on the attack. And you can see Elise Chabet up there, second wheel, the former Swiss national champion, looking back over the shoulder. So is that Sylvia Persico also getting up there? Elise Chabet. What a season Chabet has been having. Just running you quickly through our other teams so that we know who you're watching. So Lidl Trek have got 4 riders. Welcome back to Elisa Longa Borghini. Also backed up by Gaia Realini. So we'll watch out for Gaia on that mountaintop finish tomorrow. We've also got DSM Firmenich. Watch out for Juliette Labousse in the race. We've got Amber Pate here just coming together there with Loretta Hansen. The DSM Firmenich team, good strong team that they've got here. Becky Story is also here. FDJ Suez with Cecily Uttrup Ludwig. They've been pulling throughout the day so far. UAE ADQ. Erica Magnaldi comes into this race as well with great form after Tour of the Ardèche. They've got Chiara Consoni for a bit of a sprint on Sunday. Sylvia Persico we are seeing on the attack. Elena Ivanchenko has been riding really well as of late. Team Jumbo-Visma, the Amber Crack. They've also got Kim Kadzo from Australia, who's in there, the 21-year-old who's been a bit of a revelation in the last couple of months as Kim Kadzo. We had a little message from Kim's dad as well, so big shout out to Kim's dad if he's watching, just because we weren't quite sure how to pronounce her name, and he said it's like Glasgow. So we'll go with that. So Kadzo. So we'll do that. So thanks to Kim's dad for getting in touch. Phoenix de Koenig, Yara Castelline, who's had a phenomenal season. We'll watch out for her with that mountaintop finish tomorrow in such a hilly race. Jaco Alula, they're here. Welcome back to Kristen Faulkner as well. Good to see her back in and racing. Live Racing Tech Fine, Mavi Garcia has got a good strong team to back her up. Israel Premier Tech will be led in this by Claire Steele. Sarah Tizit WNT with Marta Lack, who won the final stage last year. EF Education Tidco SBB, as you can see, with Clara Honsinger as she throws on the anchors on this descent. They've also got the likes of Krista Dobell-Hickok in the team. Swiss Cycling, Yolanda Neff. We are just always excited to see what Yolanda Neff does when she comes into a race. And Human Powered Health are also here. We'll watch out for Barbara Malcotti, the 23-year-old Italian. So those are your teams. That is who you are watching here over the course of the next 3 days for the Tour de Romandie Feminin. Yverdon-les-Bains is the start and finish town for today's stage. We still have one intermediate sprint to come at Yverdon with 45.9 kilometers to go. And then on our big loop, 41.6 kilometers to go, we have the Arissul Cat 3 climb along the route. But then we also have this uncategorized climb, which is after that one as well, which is a bit of a lump on the course. No bonus seconds, interestingly, though, on the intermediate sprints, which is always interesting.
Yes, we've got a bonus, well, not a bonus second, we've got a sprint coming up at 45k to go is the next sprint, as you mentioned. But yeah, no bonus seconds, but still potentially going for a jersey, of course, which is always nice to get yourself on the podium, especially on day one of racing at a stage race, and get your team up there.
We can just see so 50 seconds now is being shown the gap for Clara Honsinger. So if you are just jumping into our coverage, welcome aboard. Clara Honsinger being shown 50 seconds. As we said, underestimate the American at your peril, the talented cyclocross rider, Clara Honsinger. Her gap had gone out to 3.5 minutes at times, and that is a dangerous gap to give someone of the quality of Clara Honsinger. But she attacked with 134 kilometers to go. Lidl Trek, Guy Realini and Elisa Longa Borghini coming through towards the front. Just 4 riders, and it's good to see Elisa Longa Borghini back in here and racing. She had to retire from the Tour with a fairly serious skin infection from what we've found, from what we heard. But she was saying herself that she just said to her body, be kind to me in this one. She's had a tough season, hasn't she? Yeah,
and I think it takes maturity to be able to say as well, look, I need to take a step back, I need to let myself recover. I think as an athlete, you always, whenever you have any form of illness or injury, you often have a sort of debate with the doctor, and the first question is, when can I get back on my bike? When can I get back training? When can I get back racing? And it just takes, I think, a bit of maturity as an athlete to be able to say, right, okay, I need to let myself recover, I need to be kind to myself, I need to understand that sometimes you need to just back off a little bit, let yourself recover. And it will be interesting to see how she goes this weekend. Like you say, having to pull out the Tour de France Femme avec Swift would have been hugely disappointing for her as an individual. And, obviously for the team, she was their, one of their real star riders as part of that setup. And it's a smaller team here as well for Lidl Trek. Just 4 riders taking to the start here. Elisa Longa Borghini, Loretta Hansen, Guy Realini and Amanda Spratt. But some, huge climbing talent. I think that can be tricky when you're in a smaller setup as well. There can be more pressure on you as an individual. There's not as many teammates around you to be thinking, well, someone else can go for the stage, someone else can go for the GC. But you're right, like you say, no real pressure on her given the sort of bad luck and illness that she's had this season.
We've just seen Clara Honsinger go through the intermediate sprint point. The camera's gone to the back of the bunch, so we can't quite make out who's gone through at the front of the bunch to take the next points. We've got at the back Urshka Ziegart. It looked like Human Powered Health and DSM. We'll get some confirmation of that. The other rider it's good to see back here is Kristen Faulkner from JK Lula, who broke her knee when she was hit by a car out training, a fracture in her knee, training in California back in May. So it's been a fairly torrid season for quite a few riders, so good to see Kristen back here.
Yeah, this is always the point in the season as well where some teams can struggle to field full teams, because if people have picked up injuries over the season, things happen. You always start in January with loads of really enthusiastic riders, and you've got these selection battles and you're trying to pick your team. Come later in the season, as we can see here, some teams struggling to field a full squad of riders here, which is natural throughout the season. We're right towards the end of the season now. This is our last race in Europe for the Women's World Tour. We've got European Championships next weekend, but we are right at the end. So yeah, lots of teams just struggling to field full squads here. But it's, like you say, good to see riders that have had the chance to come back when they've had an injury earlier on in the season, this late season racing, to be able to show themselves still.
Back to the front, Human Powered Health, DSM. You've got Liana Lippert coming up on your left for Movistar. Canyon SRAM also moving through towards the front. So 45.7 kilometers to go. Clara Honsinger now starting the next climb. So we get to, this is the Arissul. You just saw the start of it. 2.9 kilometers in length. It averages 7.9%. It maxes out at 11.8% this climb. And with 45.5 to go, it feels very much within that peloton, like it's about to kick off.
100%. I mean, you can see just visually looking at the peloton how they are really sort of putting the hammer down now. Demi Vollering coming to the front there in the World Tour Leaders jersey. Just 40 seconds the gap. If I were the DS in the ear, I would be saying just try and get yourself to the top of this climb. Try and get this Queen of the Mountain points, and that is your finish line for the day.
So it looks like we've got an issue. That Neve Bradbury that's just dropped back there on this climb. Demi Vollering, meaning business, as this is her adopted home country, is Switzerland for Demi Vollering. And had to drop out of the Simac Tour, but the power of the World Tour leader, that is Clara Honsinger's day in the lead done. But what a solo breakaway for Clara Honsinger, out there for about 90 kilometers on her own on today's stage. Vollering means business. Ashley Moolman-Pasio up there, second. Will Palapatino for Movistar third. Cassia Nuvia-Doma moving up in the red Swiss champions jersey here. On the front now is Marlen Reusser, and then you can see the figure there in the blue, yellow and red jersey just getting out the saddle with the red helmet is Gaia Reolini. Antonia Niedermeyer, it looks like, moving up on the right here for Canyon SRAM. Ricarda Bauernfeind doing the same. They've got to be aware now of SD Worx. When you get the team coming through to the front en masse like this, you just see Anna Shackley pedaling up on the left of your picture now. And she comes into this race, does the young Brit, after a great performance in the Tour de l'Avenir, along with riders like Antonia Niedermeyer. On your right, it was great to see the under-23 World Time Trial Champions jersey. She's just on the right of your picture. There is the Canyon SRAM rider. It was the Tour de l'Avenir, hopefully, Joe, is the start of the next step in women's cycling with the under, because it was great to see Antonia riding into winning the time trial in her rainbow jersey as under-23 world champion, and Shirin Van Anrooy taking the victory in her European Champions under-23 jersey.
Absolutely. So it's a race that's been on the calendar for the men for, I mean, decades now. I think it's up in the 60s or 50s. Yeah, good knowledge. Yeah, so it literally translates as Tour of the Future. So taking place in France, and a great development race for under-23 riders, and debut event for women this year, which was huge step up, like you say, a chance for those rainbow jerseys to be on show that we've had awarded at the World Championships back in August. And it's an interesting debate, though, because a lot of people have said to me, well, the riders that were winning, the riders that were up there, are riders that are already in World Tour teams. They're names that we already know. And it's like, yeah, but it's also brilliant for them to have their opportunity without some of the bigger names of the sport, some of the older riders. And also for other riders that aren't in World Tour teams that could race for their national team at the Tour de l'Avenir and race against World Tour riders that are their sort of age. It gives everybody a chance to try and step up to that level and compare themselves to the best in the world for their age group.
And it reminds them of their peers and how good they are amongst their peers, isn't it?
Yeah, and everyone develops at different rates, and you do have riders that go straight into the senior ranks and they're performing straight away. Great for them, but it's such an important event for those sort of riders that don't perhaps make that transition immediately, need a few more years of development. So I'm glad the race has taken place this year and looking forward to seeing it grow over the next few seasons, hopefully, and hopefully we'll see coverage of it in the future as well. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic development for the women's side of the sport.
Yeah, Antonia Niedermeyer on the front. She's just been a revelation. I mean, that stage win in the Giro, unfortunately crashing out the next day. She basically went over. You weren't with us for that. Urshka Ziegart lost a bottle. Antonia went over the top, landed on her face, knocked her teeth out, but has come back from that so well. Behind her, Ricarda Bauernfeind as well has had a great season. We're just going back to riders that have been on the front, working strongly for their teammates to try and set this one up. It is definitely kicking off here on this climb, as we just see Leylin Teutenberg for the Ceratizit WNT team. So really mountainous, hilly race that we've got here. Leylin Teutenberg, great track rider as well, is the German, as she goes back. Bauernfeind, Chabet and Niedermeyer, again, making it hard on this climb. And Ricarda Bauernfeind, I mean, both of these riders coming through that Canyon SRAM generation team. And this team as well with Chabe, with Cassie and Nuvia Doma on the front. They've really, as a unit, with Antonia taking that Giro stage win, Ricarda taking a Tour de France Femme stage win as well, which was a phenomenal solo performance. And it feels like that sort of those riders. Antonia's only 20. Those sort of riders like Shirin van Anrooy, like Anna Shackley, you know, they're really starting to sort of find their way now after a few years within the World Tour. Yeah,
and I think the Canyon SRAM team has got that mix of youth and experience within that squad. You know, Cassie Nuvia, one of the elder riders of the squad that's been around so many years, brilliant rider for everyone to learn from. And they seem to have really gelled really well this year, really working well together. I think for me, what's going to be interesting this weekend, as you said, they've got a brilliant team of climbers here. How are they going to translate that into wins out on the road? We know how strong they all are. This is, of course, a really hilly race. We're in Switzerland. Tomorrow's even higher mountains, even more climbing. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to try and beat the likes of Demi Vollering and, of course, last year's winner Ashley Moorman-Passio. It's going to be a really tough ask. We've got some huge names in this race, as you've been through already. Some real hitters across multiple teams. And Canyon SRAM's a team where you're looking at the lineup and you're thinking they're all really, really strong. But how are they going to beat the others here?
Yara Castelline on our left in the blue as we look at the peloton. Yara, after that Tour de France Femme stage win as well, this is the sort of point in the season as well where a rider who's just got that end of season momentum. Some riders will be finishing the season tired. Ashley Moorman-Passio's had a few health problems. She's not been, you know, has said herself through Tour of Scandinavia, perhaps the health's not been there. Cecilia Ludwig's just been on fire so far at the back end of the season. But this is a sort of race where we saw last year with Marta Lack taking the final stage win. She's been winning really well in recent days as well. But it's just that point in the season, isn't it, where someone who's got that momentum can just step up and take a big win.
Yeah, and I think it's that point in the season where you get big gaps between people. You get people that are finishing the season really well, perhaps riders that are coming into the cyclocross season, and then you also get riders that are sort of perhaps struggling, you know, looking forward to the end of season break. And, you know, everyone comes into the start of the season enthusiastic, good form, prepped well. You know, you might have had some riders with some bad luck, but, you know, things are really sort of stretched out at this point in the season, and it's going to be really interesting who's able to use that sort of end of season form. And all we've got to move now.
Cassia Nuvia Doma attacks, and straight away Niamh Fisher-Black reacts alongside her, and Niamh Fisher-Black up in the pace now as we head up towards the summit. Look at the acceleration from the New Zealander as she crests the summit. Niamh Fisher-Black with Demi Vollering right behind her. Vollering looks back over the shoulder. It's Nuvia Doma and Fisher-Black at the front. Moorman-Passio is right there. For me, I was interested. I thought Vollering may just see if Niamh Fisher-Black if they could pull a cheeky one there, but she's through to the front.
Yeah, there was a tiny little sort of gap opened up there in front of Demi Vollering, but she did close it quickly. So Niamh Fisher-Black there just on her wheel now. Nuvia Doma behind, and just see Ashley Moorman-Passio there in the green helmet as well, just hanging on. So all those runners that we've named, you can see Liana Lippert there as well, all those sort of big favourites right towards the front on this climb. We do have some bigger climbs to come tomorrow, but clearly all the favourites testing their legs here and seeing what they've got compared to their rivals.
Niamh Fisher-Black is on the front. Demi Vollering just talking into the radio as we got a big attack down the outside here. Is this Leah Huber from Switzerland? That's Marlon Reusser. My apologies. I was picking the Swiss national team jersey out. Marlon Reusser, can't really miss her. It's confusing me with the Swiss national team jersey. And Marlon Reusser launches her big move over the top here, and it's fellow countrywoman and former teammate Elise Chabe that goes with her. Home roads, home motivation here for Reusser and Chabe.
And I think they're two of the most local riders in terms of birthplace. I think we saw a stat earlier about how local some of the riders are. So big move here, but not being given any gap really whatsoever. Big response behind.
So Marlon Reusser and Elise Chabe, can they get clear? Look at Guy Reolini now, is the rider on the front that is trying to pull this one back. That's a small group. You can see the damage that climb has done now to the peloton here on the opening stage of Tour de Romandie. The helicopter will just pan back and we'll get an idea. They can see small groups all the way, but I think if Marlen Reusser and Elise Chabet persist with this move now, they'll help in just keeping that chasing group clear with them if they can. 39.6 kilometers of our opening stage remaining. Niamh Fisher-Black taking maximum points over the top of that final QOM of the day. Chabet and Reusser, you would say, two of the most aggressive riders in the peloton.
Yeah.
Always up, always on the attack. Chabet's ride in the World Championships, career defining, you would say, for that one. And Marlen, what a season Marlen Reusser is having. And this just means as well that SD Works can just sit back, let this one go. So can Canyon SRAM. And Chabet's one of those riders, that the national title, the win in the Tour de Suisse where she outsprinted Lizzie Deignan. She's the queen of the mountains, as we call her. Those wins, I think, for Elise Chabet, if she can just get that next win, that one victory, she's so consistent. She's always in the top 10 overall in races. I think it's, you look at her and you look at her palmares and what she's won in her career, and it kind of sometimes surprises you a little bit, given how aggressive and how animated she is throughout the season, because her ability to hold form throughout the year is phenomenal.
Yeah, you're right. It's that difference between consistency and race wins, and riders that are consistently up there, consistently performing, consistently getting, jerseys, doing jobs for teams, being in the top 10, versus riders that perhaps aren't so consistent but do get those big wins. And it's always an interesting question, which is more important to you. As we're saying that, we're just seeing one rider come across here now.
So Jumbo-Visma getting in there. Is it Ava van Aert that's just getting on here? We'll just have a look when we get in there. So Jumbo-Visma, they've got Amber Kraft, Turnje Beekhuis, Kim Kadzo, Rosita Reinhardt, Ava van Aert and Fem van Empel are the riders that are here for Team Jumbo-Visma. So it will be interesting to see how Fem van Empel goes in this race. So there's Rosita Reinhardt wearing 84. This is Jelena Erich. These are the groups. So we'll have a look through the groups here. Soraya Paladin in this group for the Canyon SRAM team. Marta Lack is also in this group. They're just looking across the countryside here just to see where the groups are. There's Elisa Longo Borghini. So Longo Borghini is in this group. As we said, we have to go easy on Elisa Longo Borghini in this one. Just coming back into racing, it is Amber Crack that's made it onto the back of the group. So SD Works, Jumbo-Visma and Canyon SRAM are your three teams that are represented now at the front, with UAE ADQ and AG Insurance Sidal Quickstep and the FDJ Suez on the front of that chasing group behind. Amber Crack, the former elite rower. It just seems like it's clicked this season, especially in the back end of the year for Amber Crack.
Yeah, well, I like the way she was able to go across there on her own. So you're definitely seeing a response from behind, and this group haven't relaxed at all. They're by no means letting this breakaway go, but she was the one that took the initiative to go across on her own rather than sit on the front and try and bring it back or try and, profit off other riders doing that. She was like, right, I'm going to go across to it, close that gap nicely by herself. And you can just see really stretched out behind. But I think that gap is growing slightly for our breakaway now, but they're not. The elastic hasn't broken quite yet, has it? No.
And I think for Jumbo-Visma, the riders within Jumbo-Visma have got to take that responsibility and start delivering with Marianne Vos out of action with that compressed iliac artery surgery that she let everyone know that she's been suffering from. But the gap being sewn back together here, it's the Swiss national team jersey that get back in there. So that was an impressive move to bring that one back. Is Kasia Niewiadoma about to go? Just looked like she was like a crouched tiger there, was Kasia Niewiadoma. Yeah, perfect time to counter that there. Let someone else bring it back.
counter that move. Of course, it's Canyon SRAM and SD Works, again, represented in this little group.
Niamh Fisher-Black, Kristen Faulkner getting back in there. So perhaps any questions about Kristen Faulkner's form coming back into racing could be set aside here. Good to see the American back up there. Fisher-Black looking around. Liana Lippert still in there. That's the size of the... Oh, crash at the front. There's a crash in the group just ahead of us. We'll get an idea who's gone down when we get up there. The motorbike is just ahead, so there's been a crash in that group. Who's gone down? So there's Kim Kadzo. So just getting waved around. Oh, Canyon SRAM. Oh, Kristen Faulkner has gone down. Is that Kasia Niewiadoma? Little tap there. Kasia just getting a little... nod there from Antonia Niedermeyer. Couldn't see what happened at all there. Niamh Fisher-Black looked around. Kristen Faulkner, touched the wheel, unfortunately, of Niamh Fisher-Black. Kasia had nowhere to go.
No, it's rare to get crashes right at the front of bike races like that. Of course, you're always telling your riders to get up towards the front. That's the safer place to be. But yeah, just a touch of wheels there. Right in second wheel, and of course nowhere to go for Niewiadoma.
Such a shame. And Kristen she almost just looked back at the wrong moment there.
Yeah.
It happens from time to time. We'll see if the Canyon SRAM rider can get back in there. She's got Antonia Niedermeyer with her, so it'll help with Niedermeyer to be able to drive Kasia Niewiadoma back onto the group if she can. It looked like it took them about 30 seconds or so, 45 seconds to get moving again.
And look how the pace has come off, though. Just saw Ashley Moorman-Passio to give a little bit of a hand signal there, saying who's going to come round. We might see back to... No, we're not going to see where our crash riders are. But yeah, complete change in pace now.
Erica Magnaldi in the centre. Kasia Niewiadoma just talking into the radio. Anne Santesteban right in the centre at the front here. Mavi Garcia just coming around the outside. .3 kilometres to go. It is the Live Racing Tech Find rider, Mavi Garcia, national champion of Spain, that is through to the front. So still in the group. Esme Pepperkamp is there. Kim Kadzo's got back in for the team of Jumbo-Visma. And just, we say again, we just need Kim just to be looked after a little bit now, move up a little bit if she can, because she's, given how well she was climbing in Tour of Scandinavia, tomorrow could be a really good stage for her. But the news I was reading, I think it was on Wielerflits, the Belgian-Dutch website, is that Kadzo leaving Jumbo-Visma, but we don't have an idea of where she's going potentially at the moment. That's what the news on that website was. So that'll be interesting. Silvia Persico up there, second wheel. Guy Realini on the back. Yolanda Neff is still in there for the Swiss national team. So the Canyon SRAM, there's Kasia Niewiadoma is back in there. She's wearing 31, so she's got back in. Claire Steele still there, wearing 121. This is Sophia Bertit-Zolo. So Sophia is there. The rider just ahead, you've got Ginia Kaluori for the Swiss national team. Cecilia Trup-Ludwig is there. You've got Karina Schrempf, national champion of Austria, is in that group. Elena Ivanchenko, wearing 75, is still here. Liana Lippert just talking into the radio. It's for Movistar, so she now has to lead this team. It's about taking that responsibility. Is that Fem van Empel potentially there? Eva van Aert launches a move here for Jumbo-Visma. So lots of opportunities now for the team of Jumbo-Visma. Straight away, the UAE ADQ jerseys, Lidl Trek, trying to get in on the move. Van Aert for Jumbo-Visma, driving this one on here.
Yeah, interesting point to attack because we're largely descending now for the next, more than 5k, sort of 6 or 7k. There's a little kick up at one point, but largely descending. And then we've got another climb which starts at 27k to go. That's not a categorised climb. Then there's a descent, then it's a flat run to the finish. But clearly, you know, using her descending skills, keen to try and get a gap on this fast part of the course.
Kim Kadzo and Petra Stiassny here. Stiassny there wearing 95. So Stiassny, the Swiss climber there, the 22-year-old in the blue, just ahead of Kim Kadzo here. Back to the front, Van Aert throwing herself down this descent. So good use of the descent here, and she is dragging a small group off the front. Couple of Lidl Trek, that one Lidl Trek jersey, and then we've got right on the back. Jelena Erich has made it in here for the team of Movistar. Good to see so many teams now represented in this move. Nee Fischer-Black has made it in there for the team of SD Works. Eva Van Aert kicking this move off though. So just, we've got good representation of teams in this move. Los Argeist is in here. Then you've got Laura Asensio there. We're in the red and blue for Ceratizit WNT. So good to see Laura Asensio getting in there, the French rider. Kristen Faulkner's made it back in there for Jayco Alula. She went down in that little tumble.
I think she caught a lot of riders by surprise there going on the attack on the descent. This is one of those little kicks that we've got, but it is largely descending now for the next sort of 5 kilometres. So big effort from this group behind to bring it back together. Don't want to let anybody slip away on this descent.
So it's a little kick. It's out of the saddle. Becky Story there, out of the saddle. Sophia Bertizzolo for UAE ADQ was there, just looks around. Watch Liana Lippert for Movistar, just stealthily moving up on the outside. Anna Shackley with Paola Patino right on the left of your picture, moving up. So next attack going in, Human Powered Health. Is that Barbara Malcotti going? So we've got Human Powered Health now going on the attack. Their team did a lot of work early on, did Human Powered Health, to try and set things up. There's confirmation of your sprint in Yvonne. So Clara Hunsinger from Ryan Mackers and Elena Chiabocco taking the 10 and 6 points in the group behind. So Loretta Hansen still in there for Lidl Trek. There's your GPM. So it was Nee Fischer-Black from Cassia Nuvia-Doma, Demi Vollering and Ashley Mormon-Passio. So 5, 3, 2 and 1 points on our final Queen in the Mountains of the day. Soraya Paladin had the front there for Canyon SRAM. As Joe said, quite a lot of descending, and it's very long and sweeping, just like this.
Yeah, it's not the sort of descent where you can really get out of sight quickly. I think it's always worth the chance to tack on a descent if you know that you're a good descender, because you do catch riders by surprise. You know, people aren't always expecting an attack on the descent, and some riders aren't so skillful on the descent, so you can get a gap. But, of course, very different to attacking on a climb. So good to see that Eva Van Aert had a go there, but we are all back together. Still pushing the pace on here, just approaching the final 30k of racing. We do have another climb, not a categorised climb, but we will be climbing again. Highs of around, I mean, it kicks up to around 6-7% in places. Oh, over that, up to 8% in places, but overall not as steep as the previous climb that we just saw. But again, that could be a launch pad to the finish, with the finish of that being at 20k to go.
Could be a good place for a move. Kim Kadzo just sat on the back of the group here for Jumbo-Visma. Just ahead of her, Erska Ziegart for the Jayco Alula team. Who will be the next riders to go? Karina Schrem for Phoenix de Koenig still on the front. Canyon Schramm just taking a bit of a moment to take a bit of a pause and a bit of a sigh of relief, I think. But this group has swelled in numbers. It does look like the Elisa Longa Borghini group has got back in there. You can just see that Italian champions jersey, who's now up towards the front. The riders just laying off the back a little bit on this sweeping descent. So Guy Realini just towards the back there for the Lidl Trek team. For them, they'll want to make sure that they keep Realini up there. As Fem van Empel, you can see in the yellow for Jumbo-Visma. Fem van Empel's got to fancy her chances out of this group. I mean, she had a great Tour de l'Avenir as well. Took her first road win in Tour de l'Avenir. So don't discount the world cyclocross champion.
Yeah, I was just going to say, cyclocross world champion, still so young as well. She's a rider that I forget, you know, when she was in the Tour de l'Avenir, quite how young she is. So definitely a rider that you'd be looking at for the finish today. Now we've just got this one more climb to go after this descent, but it's not as steep as the previous climb, but it is climbing for a little bit longer. Marlon Royce is still on the front, having a look around, seeing who's where, and Canyon Schramm coming to the front again as well. But with this part of the course, no one really keen to make a move. The descent is a little bit too wide, a little bit too sweeping to be one of the really technical ones where you can really get a gap. Just a little hand on the shoulder there, Demi Vollering. All smiles, it would seem.
I think our Swiss national team rider I think she might have slipped her gears potentially. I think it's Ginia Calori. Just gave a friendly, just a little friendly push on the back there to help her get her gears in, potentially. Road goes up. Cecilia Ludwig out of the saddle, right in the centre for FDJ Suez. This group just now spreading across the road. Eva van Aert out the saddle there. Just on the outside of the group. Van Empel in the yellow and black, wearing 86. Nina Bausman and Barbara Malcotti still in there. Marta Lack is right in the centre of the group for Ceratizit WNT. And we know what a fast finisher Marta Lack is. So if she can get herself over this next climb, Marta Lack, she's come into the Tour de Romandie on absolutely phenomenal form as late has Marta Lack. She's won her last two races. She won the GP Fourmies in France. She then won the Grand Prix Wallonie. She was second in Plouay as well, and she won it was the first World Tour win for her last year. You could just see her moving up with the red helmet, wearing 131 on the right of the peloton there for Ceratizit WNT. But we were saying it earlier, Marta's one of those riders that always finishes the season really, really strongly.
And you can't underestimate how much confidence that would have given her personally and her team, having those two wins back-to-back. A saying that we often hear in cycling is winning is a habit, and it's always a little bit of a funny one I found to get my head around. But once you start winning bike, you know, as a cyclist, you lose more than you win. You know, you ride so many bike races throughout the season, you don't win them all. But when you get into that habit of winning a race, it just gives you that little confidence boost that you can't really quantify, but it does tend to, often riders do tend to get wins back to back. So absolutely, definitely a rider to watch on this finish today.
Katrien Allerud just moving up. It's just on the back of the group. Realini right in the centre here for that Lidl Trek team. And then you've got teams and riders still within this group that just might fancy the chances of stealing one if they can. There's Justine, there's Anya Lau is still in there as well. Watch out for Anya Lau in this one. Maria Benito just on your left there for the AG Insurance Sudal Quick Step team. Another rider that we're happy to see back into racing. She had a tumble in Tour de France fam, Avec Zwift, back in July, did Maria Benito, just shaking out a bottle and having a drink at the front. But clearly recovered well, back into racing. Katrina Alerud there for Movistar. The Norwegian rider crashed out off the Tour of Scandinavia. And they're back here. Spanish time trial champion Benito. There's Eglantine Raya in the black jersey with the blue stripes for DSM Firmenich. And Eglantine Raya, if you look at the World Tour standings at the moment, we'll update you. We've got an attack going in. So good move. Oh, Ceratizit WNT colours on the front. This is Alice Maria Azufi on the attack here. Everyone right on it. Eriona Mine there for Human Powered Health. AG Insurance lining up for a next move. Abby Smith right on the back of the group here. Good to see Abby Smith, the British rider, with wearing 146 on the back. "98 riders taking the start this morning. Julie van der Velde wearing 96. Watch out for, if this comes down to a group sprint, Julie van der Velde is another rider that we would potentially earmark in a group sprint like this. Van der Velde, fast finisher. Longo Borghini just moving up. Still sitting in 7th in the World Tour is Elisa Longo Borghini. Demi Vollering at the top with 4,415.86 points in the World Tour. It's Demi Vollering to Annemiek van Vleuten's 2,790.57. I love the points within the Women's World Tour point standings. Lotte Kopecky now 3rd. So we get the next attack in. This is Barbara Malcotti going for Human Powered Health. Good to see Human Powered Health being so aggressive.
Well, this
today
is the first time I've seen an attack where there hasn't been an immediate response from behind. Everyone's been jumping on these moves. Everyone's been keen to follow all these little moves. But she's the first one that's been given a little bit of daylight here. Look at that.
Just using this rise to her advantage with 24.6 to go. So Human Powered Health clearly coming into this one today with a plan and really trying to execute that plan. Oh, my apologies. It's not, it's Nina Bausman, my apologies. That's on the attack here for Human Powered Health. Always a rider that's aggressive is Nina Bausman.
And we've got about 2 or less than 2 kilometres of climbing now to get to the summit. Quite near the top of this one. Should peak about 22k to go.
Amanda Spratt just starting to get distanced off the back of the group. And this is the point, if you're going to get rid of anyone with a fast finish, this is the point on the course where they've got to do it.
Yeah, because after this we have got descent and then pretty much pan flat final run into the finish. So this is the point where you need to really make the race hard, really get rid of those fast finishers, or at least sort of sap something from their legs. They haven't got that kick when they've got to the end. So a number of teams clearly racing aggressively, clearly trying to do that, but so far the elastic not quite breaking for an actual move to get away. But you can see here just by the fact that it's so strung out how much they're pushing on.
Elise Chabet blows out a race around the front. So is Demi Vollering. Looks poised and ready for me at the moment, Demi Vollering.
Yeah, I think so. I think she's always been right towards the front. You could see on the climb, the categorised climb before, quite how strong she looked, just closing gaps at will, really. And she's got such a strong team. I mean, she's always got a strong team around her. SD West are always incredibly strong. But I mean, as lineups go for them, this is one of their best in terms of climbing talent as well here this week.
Nuvia Doma attacking, using this climb, is the Canyon SRAM rider. So showing she's taken that time to recover after that crash with Kristen Faulkner. Ashley Mormon-Passio and Liana Lippert are there. Cassia can put in these sustained efforts on the climbs, and that sometimes she doesn't get the gap straight away. She'll just keep winding it up until she tries to crack everyone behind her out of the saddle. That familiar style of Nubia Dome, and you can see just how much it's stretching the group out, and multiple riders now just getting tailed off the group. So Eriona Mine being one of them, Quinty Ton, Abby Smith here, but just ahead of them, Julie van der Velde we saw from the Phoenix de Koenig team. So van der Velde just getting distanced here for that Phoenix de Koenig team.
Always tough getting distance on an uncategorised climb. Of course, we're saying no Queen of the Mountain points here, but it is very much a tough climb. It's pretty much the highest point of altitude they're reaching today, actually. So very much a climb to be respected, but not one with Queen of the Mountain points available.
Lippert grabs a bottle, doesn't want that one. So you'll have water or energy drink. No, doesn't want that one either, so, which is a shame. So the attacks going in thick and fast now. Amber Crack for Jumbo-Visma. Liana Lippert potentially looking, she'll either be looking for water or energy drink, depending on which one. So the soigneurs will always just put maybe a little X or something on the top for their energy drink. And Liana Lippert didn't manage to get what she was searching for. She's got teammates in here who I'm sure she'll send back for the bottles. That's Amber Crack powering on here for Jumbo-Visma. So the former elite rower in the last races. Whether it's, for me, Amber Crack, that crossover power from rowing, whether it's like this, or on the attack like this, whether it's climbing, time trialing, and even sprinting as of late, she's been impressive.
I think rowers also come from a background of like the ability to hurt themselves in training, go ever so deep. You know, it's a sport similar to cycling that they spend a lot of time on an indoor trainer that we do as well on the turbo trainers. And I've always seen when rowers have crossed over to cycling, that ability to go deep, because they've had to do that every day in their training for rowing, is always super impressive.
Oh, it's eye-wateringly hard rowing as well. Anyone that's ever done their timed efforts on a Concept 2 rower will know just how deep rowers have to dig in their training. Elise Chabet brings it back. Demi Vollering is right with her, but impressive move by Amber Crack. The group is splintering, though, under the pressure of these constant attacks. Becky Story right on the back of the group here. Just looking these attacks to just crack this group if they can.
We're descending now until about 16k to go, and then it is a very flat run into the finish from that point. They've of course been through the finish line twice already, because we had 2 smaller laps before we came on air, so they'll be very familiar with that final run-in.
And this group, it may have stretched, but the elastic hasn't snapped on the descent. Can they split this one further by just keeping the pressure on here? Back to the front, and it is our fast descenders that are pushing this one to the limit on the descent, and Canyon Schramm trying to make this as hard as possible on the descent for those riders that may not be super confident on the descent, as Nubia Doma attacking the descent. We know what a descender the Polish rider is, and you can see just small cracks just starting to open in that group. Vollering looks around, and it's always interesting to watch how riders like Kasia can split a race on a descent.
Yeah, and what really stands out to me here is how aggressively Kasia is racing, and how Demi Vollering happy to keep following, happy to follow those moves. We've seen move from Nee Fisher-Black, we've seen her teammates all up there. Of course, Marlon Royce made a big attack, but Demi Vollering just following every time other riders are attacking at the moment, just biding her time, it would seem.
Crack goes again. Persico just soaks up that move. This is a chance. 20.7 kilometers to go, although it's a flat run towards the finish. If anyone's got that time trial power, fancies a solo breakaway, they could potentially launch that move. The are riders that have got a fast finish on them. The likes of Marta Lack are in here for Sarah Tizet. Next move going in. Movistar have been super aggressive in this one so far today. Is this Floortje Mackay that is going here for Movistar? Ivanchenko on the front. Reusser is the rider that reacts from Team SD Works. Looks around. Marlon Reusser has the power to go. So across the fields. Not a lot of wind for the riders to deal with today. Reusser brings it back together. Amber Crack right with her. Sarah Tizet WNT with Laura Asensio. They'll be confident in Marta Lack's finish from a group this size. Erska Ziegart in her usual position, just chilling down the back.
Yeah, hanging in there. It's been such an aggressive race. Ever since we've come on air, there's just been attack after attack. We, of course, had our lone solo leader for a large part of the race, but since it came back together on that categorised climb, it's just been attack after attack. Everyone wants an opportunity to get away. They don't want to leave it to a sprint. They know this is a really good chance for a stage win. Tomorrow's a mountaintop finish on a first category climb, so very different stage we have tomorrow. But today it's been 3 third category climbs and a very fast run in here. People want to try and get away, don't want to risk it, leaving it to a big bunch sprint at the end.
Swiss champion in a home race on the front for SD Works. Marlon Reusser just shaking out the legs. Who will they fancy the chances of in a finish from this group? You'd say for SD Works, Demi Vollering will fancy her chances of a sprint out of this group.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a lot of riders fancying their chances because, of course, we have got rid of any pure sprinters. This is a very hilly race. It is a very select group already. We're talking about how we've got a big group here, but it is a select group out of the riders that started. There's been a lot of, we've seen lot of gaps opening up behind. There's going to be a lot of tired legs out there that have just had that sort of peak power sapped from them from all this relentless attacking. So it's going to be a case of who's been able to look after themselves, who's been able to follow well and, not use too much energy in this run-in.
Soraya Paladin still in there for Canyon Stram. Rider that's got a good kick on her as well. Yolanda Neff on the left, sat behind Liana Lippert, this rider from the Swiss national team. Sylvia Persico out of a group like this might also fancy the chances of a sprint win. Big attack from the back of the group here. Is this Los Aragast, the style of the FDJ Suez rider? Nee Fisher Black trying to get in there. It's just, as you've said, it's just been absolutely relentless since we came on air this race.
And every attack being responded to as well. There's never been that real lull where you thought, okay, we're going to let this group get a little gap and then we'll bring them back. It has been, everybody's wanted to get on every move. Every move has been countered. Multiple different teams trying to go for it. No one quite breaking that elastic though. So we're just at the 16k to go mark almost. So we finished the main bulk of the descent now. So pretty much a flat run into the finish, of course, which they have seen twice already today because we've already been through the finish line twice.
Kim Kadzo still at the back here for Jumbo-Visma. That mountaintop finish tomorrow will be where she'll hope to come into her own. Cecilia Trup-Ludwig just moving up on the left, wearing number 61 in the red and blue of FDJ Suez. Krista Dobell-Hickok in the pink there for EF Education. Tibco SVB. The American rider, another great climber. 15.6 to go. So anyone that's got a bit of a kick on them might fancy their chances in this finish. Lippert, Leanna Lippert could be good for a finish like this. Fem van Empel is also going to feel like she's got an opportunity to take her first World Tour win in this one. Eglantine Rayert just talking into the radio for DSM Firmenich.
Yeah, this is the chance to sort of check in with your DS, just sort of confirm how everybody's feeling, you know, have a little chat with your teammates if you can, just confirm what the tactics are. You can, of course, have these conversations before the race, but it's not until this point in the race where you know, the race is unfolded, you really get a good idea for how you feel, how well you've travelled, how the legs are feeling out on the road, and get an idea for your rivals as well, who's been racing really aggressively, who's been putting all the attacks in, who's just been able to respond. But, you know, we mentioned Demi Vollering. She's been responding to moves, but never been the one to initiate. There's been her teammates initiating moves. Human Powered Health, very aggressive. Team Jumbo-Visma, very aggressive.
Another little group, the Abby Smith group, just getting back on. Lippert and Mackay just having a word here. Fem van Empel on the left of the peloton as you look at the bunch. This is Abby Smith just getting back into the mix. Hannah Nielsen wearing 135 there. The Swedish rider from Ceratizit WNT, Eriona Mine, national champion of Japan, just out of the saddle. Jumbo-Visma, just get a little bit of organisation here. You can just see Fem van Empel just talking to the teammates. Just start to get everybody organised here for Fem. And for someone like Fem van Empel, you would say new to the road. This is her first big year of road racing. 21 years old. It's as world cyclocross champion, and given the season that she had in cross, given that win in Tour de l'Avenir, it's having that confidence to start to lead the team, to have that self-belief, to start saying to everyone else around you, you need to do this, and get that lead out organised.
Yeah, 100%. It's not just confidence on the bike and confidence in the peloton and confidence attacking yourself, but like you say, it's the confidence of being a leader. And that's often a reason that a lot of riders that I speak to say that they like to be in a team with other big names, because you haven't got to always be the leader. There's always options, there's always somebody else. But yeah, it really takes a level of maturity to be able to say, right, okay, you know, I might be young, but I've got the legs and I'm ready to say this is what I need doing, this is what I want doing. And yeah, confidence is key. And of course, yeah, a lot of that comes with experience. So when you are young and when you are newer to the road as opposed to cyclocross, that is can be a challenge. But, you know, if she's got a good team around her in terms of support staff giving her confidence as well, you know, a good DS in the ear, that also makes a huge difference. And the whole team buying in to the idea of, you know, this is how we're going to try and go for this victory.
Misha Bredevold's also got back in here. As you said earlier on, it'll depend what a leveler the amount of climbing and how aggressive this race has been so far, but Misha winning that trophy Lorient Agglomeration GP
She's had a brilliant
as
season,
we call it.
And yeah, there's, like we said, that it you know, it really thinned out on those climbs, but there's been a lot of riders able to get back in now. So there'll be a lot of riders that have been able to ride the climbs at their own pace and then chase back on, which is of course hard, but it depends how deep they've had to go or how well they've timed it to get back on in time for the finish. Still 13k to go, so still time to follow the wheels here and sit in and recover as much as you can.
Erska Ziegart rolling along on the back for Jaco Alula. Abby Smith just ahead for EF Education. Tibco SBB on these little descents. You can see riders that are just stretching things at the front, looking to just find those cracks in this group, maybe find a late opportunity to try and get clear. And a Santesteban out of the saddle. We saw some little attacks. You could see the group just getting stretched out. Loretta Hansen talking into the radio. Loretta Hansen could be a good bet from this group as well, as our next move goes. I think if Loretta Hansen plays this sensibly here, we know that she's got a good finish on her. Marta Lack is now coming through with 12.8 to go. With that red helmet, the red and blue jersey. Already a Romandie winner at the end of last year's race, winning stage 3. But Loretta Hansen doesn't get many opportunities to be the the designated potential winner.
This could be the one, because she's got 3 teammates who are obviously superb climbers, and we've got a lot more climbing to come in this race. But this could be the chance. Could be the day.
Yolanda Neff.
Yeah, as we said, looking forward to seeing her racing on the road this weekend and seeing how aggressively she races. A home race, of course, riding for the Swiss cycling team.
Yolanda's one of those riders in these races, and she almost says it herself, so I'm not doing any disrespect. She quotes herself sometimes in Tour de Suisse and races like this, is when she says that the mountain bikers like to come out and play.
Yeah. And why not? You know, I think if you're a specialist in a different discipline, but you get a chance to come and do another discipline, it's a chance to have fun. It's a chance to enjoy racing your bike without that same level of pressure.
Oh, big move from Kasia Niewiadoma. Just using that little rise now. Karina Schrempf jumping on it for Phoenix de Koenig. So lots of riders clearly got good legs, jumping on everything here. Just a small gap as Niewiadoma takes this group off the front. Knee Fisher Black in here for SD Works. I
think I've lost track of how many times Kasia Niewiadoma has attacked in this last sort of 30-40k of this race. She's been super aggressive and had a crash as well, but just not quite able to break the elastic here. The roads are too fast. A lot of riders, a lot of teams believe they can take the win here today. They know that tomorrow is going to be different with the mountaintop finish and the first category climbs. Today is a stage that a lot of teams would have said, you know, we can do this today. Yeah. Esme Pepperkamp.
Nice little save there on the side. Just put a hand out to Loretta Hansen. It was, you could almost see her just anticipating the way everyone was moving there. Watch this. So you can just see. Oh, Loretta Hansen just moved out as Esme Pepperkamp came up. I think Paola Patino just had a big glance back over the shoulder. If you are just joining our coverage today, welcome aboard. We're heading towards the final 10 kilometres of today's opening stage of the Tour de Romandie. Mavi Garcia just coming through to the front, grabbing a drink. We're looking for that 10k to go banner. Mavi Garcia of Live Racing Tech Find is on the front. We are heading back towards Yverdon-les-Bains at the end of stage 1 of the Tour de Romandie Feminin, the second edition of this race. 144.1 kilometers today that kicks off 3 days of racing here in Switzerland. We're 386.87 kilometers racing over 3 days. Esme Pepperkamp going on the attack for the DSM Firmenich team. Antonia Niedermeyer just getting on, trying to get on the wheel of the DSM Firmenich rider. As they're looking for that 10k to go banner. There's just a small group clipping off the front. Garcia has made it in there. Neve Fisher Black trying to come across the gap here for SD Works. No one's noticed that they've got a gap here, but Loretta Hansen has. And it looks like Laura Asensio that's on the front. There was an opportunity there. That was Anna Shackley coming across the gap. Will she make a move now? This Garcia that comes through. Just a little bit too long a pause there for the group.
Yeah, I think it's hard to tell when you're at the front, the sort of gap that you've got from the peloton behind. You know, we can see on our screens here, but if you look over your shoulder, you see there's quite a lot of riders there. You didn't realise there is actually a gap there, as we can see on this shot now as the road bends round. That's possibly one of the biggest gaps we've seen in the final sort of 30k, because it's been brutal. It's been, every attack has been jumped straight onto and countered.
There's definitely an opportunity here, but they'll be very wary of letting Mavi Garcia get into a move on the opening day and steal some time on everybody else, given how well Mavi Garcia can climb. Florentia Mackay for Movistar up towards the front. Elena Amialusic. Anna Shackley, bronze medalist in the under-23 World Road Race Championships on home roads in Scotland. Eriona Mine in that white jersey with the red for the national champion of Japan. Good to see her up towards the front. Being very attentive today is Kasia Niewiadoma lining up for another move for Canyon SRAM. She is.
Yep.
Just went from a little bit further down the group. She's just trying to just see if there's any small rises on this one at the moment where she can potentially just use that power to get clear. And look at the acceleration through these streets from Niewiadoma. It looks like Sarah Tizet are trying to keep this together for Marta Lack as Loretta Hansen makes a move for Lidl Trek. No one wants to let anyone with a reputation like Kasia Niewiadoma go clear. We said Loretta Hansen could be a good bet for Lidl Trek today. Jumbo-Visma would be happy, confident from a group like this that they might have two opportunities with Amber Crack, who's been sprinting well, and Fem Van Empel, who we know finishes really well in these races. Anna Shackley just powering this one back together for SD Works. Good to see Loretta Hansen being aggressive for Lidl Trek.
Yeah, very strong there by Anna Shackley, actually, on the front there, just bringing that back nicely. So that was a potentially dangerous move there by Loretta Hansen, but Anna Shackley looking very strong. Now here's that little pause again, looking over the shoulder, seeing if anybody's going to make a counter-attack. No one just yet. 7.5k to go.
Movistar jersey going.
There we go.
Is that Florentia Mackay making a move? Demi Vollering covering for SD Works. I feel they're working for Bredevold in this one, SD Works. Chabe has a glance. Is Niewiadoma going to launch the move up here? Kasia just throwing everything that she's got in the energy tank at this one today. Multiple moves from Kasia to try and get clear. Nothing's sticking. You've just got, I think she's got to have the most aggressive rider award at the end of this one.
Yeah, I think if it hadn't been for the solo breakaway for the vast majority of the race, I think it would have gone to Kasia. But yeah, she must be well into the double figures of how many attacks she's made here.
Yeah, good move. If you weren't with us earlier on, Clara Honsinger going clear with 134 kilometres to go, spending nearly 90 kilometres off the front solo on this opening stage today. AG Insurance, Sudal Quick Step. We'll see which riders they've still got. If we look throughout the season, though, Ashley Mormon-Passio loves a bit of a bunch kick. She's won a couple this season.
Yeah, I think she's really improved her sprinting and her sort of peak power output. But again, confidence as well comes with that as well. She's here in this race wearing number 1. She's the defending champion. Last year was the first edition of the Women's Tour of Romandie. So she's keen to keep that race on her set of Palmares. So interesting seeing her always up towards the front. She's got a few teammates as well.
Yeah, won the opening stage. Tour of Pyrenees ahead of Anna Henderson, Los Arias. Did Ashley Mormon-Passio. Maybe Anya Lau, though, that they might feel that they want to give a chance to. Multiple options. 5.8 kilometres to go into the finish of today's opening stage of Tour de Romandie Feminine. There's Gaia Realini just in your picture there, wearing 43 out of the saddle. For Lidl Trek, Eriona Mine for Human Powered Health. So there's some chances here within this stage today for riders to potentially try and grab a victory. Maybe an unexpected move. There's Ash Mormon-Passio wearing number 1, just coming into your picture there. Eva van Aert, 85. Mormon-Passio just getting a move up towards the front on the wheel of Van Aert. Cecilia Trup-Ludwig wearing 61. Oh, Damie Vollering just being aware. They've just got to be aware of everyone around them. Quinty Ton, Carolina Anderson is there. Here come the UAE ADQ team. Elena Ivanchenko pedals through. Mormon-Passio just wants the front here.
Yeah, keeping safer as well as patience. You know, people thinking about the stage win, also keeping safe. Always nervous moments when you're coming into a sprint. Final 5K now. So Mormon-Passio getting herself to the front, keeping out of trouble. But at the moment we're spread all the way across the road. So the UAE team just having a little chance to have a bit of communication with each other. Trying to see what they're going to do here.
Silvia Persico is up towards the front for UAE ADQ.
There's Claire Steels.
Los Argests got a decent finish on her as well. Claire Steels there, wearing 121, of course, off to Movistar.
Yeah, that's an exciting move for her. Of course, based out in Mallorca, so Spanish team should be a nice home for her.
Yeah, it looks to almost be like a home team for her. Jumbo-Visma on the left of your picture with Fem van Empel right on the wheel. Fem van Empel searching for her first World Tour win for the Jumbo-Visma rider. You certainly wouldn't bet against her today. Hannah Nielsen in the centre of the picture in the peloton for Ceratizit WNT. They've got Marta Lack right on the wheel. Marta Lack, we would probably say the rider that's riding a rich wave of form for Ceratizit WNT, the former Polish national champion. But it's a different kind of sprint, this one though, isn't it? We've got riders that are fast finishers. It can just be a little bit of chaos and mayhem sometimes on the run-in towards the finish when we haven't got a Lorena Vibis and those sort of lead outs.
You've got teams of climbers here at this race. You've got teams of people going for the GC on the higher climbs tomorrow that are to come. But of course, still very capable of leading out a rider and still very capable in those sprints. But it is a different sprint, like you say, to what we're used to seeing with the likes of Lorena Vibes, Alyssa Balsamo, those sort of riders.
The end of stage 1, the final 3 kilometres. So we kind of kink right, go through 2 kilometres to go. We've got a bit of a roundabout just after 2K to go. We've got a couple of 90-degree turns just between 2K and then the Flamme Rouge. And then we just a couple of roundabouts as we lead in and then kink round towards the right and line up for the finish. Whatever, though, it is going to be quite an interesting finish that we've got ahead of us here on stage 1 of the Tour de Romandie. 3 stages. We have a mountaintop finish to come tomorrow, so there is an opportunity here for someone to get a big victory as we head in towards the back end of the season, and the pressure is on. Jumbo-Visma, UAE, ADQ, all up towards the front here. Here comes Karina Schrempf of the Fenix de Koenig team. Riders looking for the chance to maybe just sneak a cheeky move right at the end here.
Yeah, especially with little kinks like that in the road on the run-in. Riders will be very familiar with this running. They've done it twice already today in this stage. But it is a technical run into the finish. Like you said, there could be a chance just to enter one of these corners ahead of the bunch, make a little attack and try and get a gap, as we're seeing here now.
Karina Schrempf has really launched the move off the front here for the Fenix de Koenig team. We've seen her do this previously this season in recent races, and just now launched that move through those corners. And as we've said, it's a fairly technical run in towards the finish now, but can the Fenix de Koenig rider here manage to steal this one right from under the noses of the rest of the group? Could it be a perfectly timed moment for the former track and field athlete? powering on here for Phoenix de Koning.
This is incredibly impressive. If we can try and see the gap that she's got, no one has had this sort of gap so far. We've had some big names going in the attack and everything has been neutralised straight away. We're inside the final 2 kilometres now.
These are the sort of late moves that we love in cycling, and Karina Schrempf looking for that first big World Tour victory as well for the Phoenix de Koning rider. She's won the national title. She's also won some smaller races back home in Austria, but she's never won a stage or a race at this sort of level. Another one of our crossover athletes is the national champion of Austria. And the Austrian riders really, again, just growing in confidence over the last few seasons since that Olympic victory by their fellow countrywoman Anna Kiesenhofer. Look at this move now. Schrempf just throwing herself through these final corners, and she's looking now, Joe, for the Flamme Rouge across the road.
She is. It'll be coming very soon. Trying to sneak a little look over her shoulder there. This is the moment we need to just get your head down, focus, keep in that aero position. Full gas, full power down. It is a matter of minutes worth of effort now, and the victory could be hers. Phoenix de Koning always raced so aggressively. They had a brilliant season, and she's taken all that confidence and made this move, and she's caught a lot of people by surprise here. This is fantastic.
What a move now for the Austrian national champion, and look at the power and the speed that she is carrying here. There's a couple of little roundabouts to come here as they just cross the river. There's another roundabout just on the exit of this one. It's a fairly straight run now. There's just a little kick to the right as she'll head in towards the finish. Schrempf takes a look over the shoulder. You can see every little move, every little look that you make over the shoulder. There's just fractions of a second lost with every move that you look. 400 meters to go now for Karina Schrempf. Here comes the group with Demi Vollering on the front. Misha Bredevold is locked in right on the wheel. Look at Fem van Empel in the yellow and black colours. Is it going to be elation? Is it going to be heartbreak for Karina Schrempf? Demi Vollering, 200 meters to go. Bredevold launches the move. Karina Schrempf, can she hang on to the finish? Here they come in towards the line. Schrempf's going to hang on, or is she? It's going to be tight. Oh, what a finish. Right on the line for UAE ADQ. Ooh, that could come down to a photo finish. So UAE ADQ right on the line. Was it Sofia Bertizzolo that just got up there on the line? We'll have a look at the photo finish on that one. What a finish here in the Tour de Romandie. It might go to a photo, but I think UAE ADQ think they might have got that one.
Wow, that was agonisingly close at the end there. And yeah, look at the celebration. They think they've taken that.
It does, because I couldn't see whether Chiara Consoni was still in that group as well. So the celebrations all around here. It looks like Sofia Bertizzolo is celebrating. What a sprint from Bertizzolo. Just snuck it right on the line for Bertizzolo. What a finish.
Yeah, it was that lunge for the line. It was the slight chance to celebrate for Karina Schrempf there, and she just grabbed it on the line.
Oh, what a finish. And Sofia Bertizzolo, we've seen throughout her career, she's been up there in Trofeo Alfredo Binda. She's always had a really, really fast finish on her, but that was something else from Bertizzolo.
It was the perfect timing. It was the not giving up. It was the believing as we came into the finish there. Wow.
Yeah, and at this level, never had a World Tour victory as Sofia Bertizzolo. Third win of her career. Another rider that's shown so much promise throughout her career. As we said, she's been so close in Alfredo Binda, where she's been second. She was third in the Trophy Lorient, Classic Lorient, just a week or so ago. But that was some finish. But Karina Schrempf as well, what can we say about that? What an absolute finish. Let's take you through the run-in. Karina Schrempf from Phoenix de Koning, we've got to say one of the teams of the season so far. And Reusser doing the power in that lead-out with Vollering right on the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, who better to have a lead at there, Marlon Royce? But this is the moment at the line, and you can just see, you think she's got it. She puts her hand up to celebrate, but it's just on the lunge there.
Yeah,
wow,
felt that she got it. It's right on the line. Oof, look at that. She almost had it. If she'd just thrown the bike at the line, she would have probably just hung on.
Oh, that is agonisingly close.
That's one of those things, isn't it? Oh, we've seen it so many times over the years, haven't we? But yeah, it's when it's that tight, that close, you have to just sprint through the line, don't you? It's agonising.
Head down. Oh, wow. What a finish, though. What a treat that was, those final 2K. Fair play to Karina Schwemp there for really lighting up, being the only rider to really get any daylight on the bunch. But also look at the UAE team here, fully believing right till the end, never giving up. It's not over till it's over. Wow.
Sofia Bertizzolo, you can think, again, the team, what a job the team did for her today. And it's something that we talk about a lot in commentary, is having that confidence to put your hand up and go, everyone worked for me today.
Yeah, it was nice to see her there thanking her teammates, and she had, obviously lots of positive things to say about what everyone had done all day. It's a 144-kilometre stage, one of the longer ones that we see. Almost 4 hours of racing.
There you have it. We've got our top three so far. Sofia Bertizzolo takes the biggest win of her career. Karina Schwemp takes second. Misha Bredevold takes third. What an absolute finish. What a monster. That was a great stage.
That was a real treat. That was spectacular. I loved that.
But today belongs to Italy, UAE ADQ and Sofia Bertizzolo. And that we were saying it earlier on about this point in the season where someone just has that form who can just take that big win.
Yeah, it's a really interesting part of the year because there's some riders that are just hanging on to whatever they've got and very keen for that end of season break. Other riders have got good form and they're desperate to use it. So you can see here just on the right of the shot, it was Marlon Royce doing the lead out for SD Works. Misha Bredevold, as we mentioned earlier in the coverage, being clearly the key rider for this sprint. And Demi Vollering is now on the front for Bredevold. But Karina Schwemp just fully committing at this stage. And I thought she was going to get it here. We were inside the final about 200 metres. And I thought, this is it. The victory is going to be hers. We've got Jumbo Visma up there as well.
Weren't they?
Yeah. But UAE just benefiting of the lead out of SD Works as well.
Misha Bredevold takes off, and then Bertizzolo could have been just so agonisingly close. If she just kept going, we'll never know. And you do, at that point, you would just think you've got it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's heartbreaking. Sport.
Yeah.
Agony and heartbreak.
And this is why we love it.
And elation in equal measure.
The roller coaster of emotions that we go through and these riders go through here. She thinks she's got it. This is it. Right. Yes, the win's mine. Nobody's here. Celebrate. And then it's just that realisation.
In that position, though, can you sense within that the peloton are coming, the noise and everything around you?
I think you can sense it, and that's why it's surprising that she celebrated. But I think it was just the speed at which they were coming. She did have, a bike length before the line. She was clear.
Your top 10 looks like this. Sofia Bertizzolo takes stage one of Tour de Romandie. Karina Schwemp with Misha Bredevold, Paladin Van Empel, Erich Roseman, Gannis, Chabet, Adagast and Lack. Your top 10. And your general classification looks like this. Sofia Bertizzolo will take the yellow jersey into stage two's mountaintop finish with a 4-second advantage over Karina Schwemp. 6 to Bredevold, 10 to Paladin Van Empel, Erich Roseman, Gannon, Hargeist, Lack, all up there in that top 10. But we have a summit finish to come tomorrow. Last year it was Ashley Moorman-Passio that took the victory and set her general classification win up with that summit finish tomorrow. It is a tough day. It is very Swiss tomorrow.
It certainly is. We've got over 2,000 metres of climbing and a 111-kilometre stage. We've got 2 first category climbs, We go through Aigle, which is where the UCI is based, before our final climb up to the finish, which is going to be just over 1,000 metres of altitude. The race actually peaks at 1,400 metres of altitude on the previous climb before that. So bit of altitude, lots of metres of climbing, mountaintop finish. It's not going to disappoint, is it?
No, if today's anything to go by.
I'm very
There's
excited.
also that point in the season, isn't there, where if a rider hasn't got a contract or a rider gets a little bit more freedom, that's what tomorrow can bring as well. Yeah,
it's riders that, like you say, haven't got a contract, desperate to get that secured for next year. This is really sort of leaving it quite late to get that sorted, but it does happen. Brilliant race to try and get a win in to really secure that for next year. And as we've already mentioned, anyone that's got form that didn't quite have the form earlier on when they perhaps would have wanted it for some of the other races that we've had, this is still a World Tour race. It's still a race that it has prestige because there is the men's version, which has been going on for so long, that is so well known as one of the Tour de France warm-up races. It's a race that is very familiar among cyclists.
Sofia, congratulazione, che vittoria, molto stretta. Ti sei vista vincere o pensavi che era persa?
Quando sono partita con la volata pensavo di far seconda perché la prima atleta aveva parecchio vantaggio, poi ho visto recuperando è salita l'adrenalina anche per il primo posto. È la prima mia vittoria World Tour e penso che chi ha guardato la gara si è reso conto di come la squadra mi abbia pilotato perfettamente in questa giornata e in questa veramente vittoria quasi rosicata.
Si può dire che dopo tutti i tuoi titoli nei junior, europei, nazionali, questa è la più bella vittoria, ti vesti in giallo oggi?
Sì, è un'emozione perché proprio ieri dicevo al mio direttore sportivo in macchina, Marcello Albasini, che l'ultima gara che ho fatto in Svizzera era 9 anni fa, a Nyon, e ho vinto il titolo europeo junior, quindi a questo punto la Svizzera mi porta bene, sono felicissima veramente. Come dico, la prima vittoria World Tour, quindi la più importante.
Just a word in English. It was a very, very tiny difference, but you are in yellow. It wasn't expected until the end, but you reached it, you did it.
Yeah, we did it actually. UAE Team ADQ did it. The whole team, rider and staff. So tomorrow we're riding yellow here in Romandie. Yeah.
What means for you to be in yellow tonight?
It means a lot. It's always a special color, you know, because Romandie always, of course, the biggest race in the world. So very first time for me, it will be an emotion already from now.
Grazie mille.
Grazie.
Grazie.
So as I said there as well, the former European junior road race champion, she's been Italian national champion as well, and just saying, very emotional. Her first World Tour win in her career as well, and it was a very much a victory for the whole team. Yeah, this is a big moment in a rider's career. She was also a silver medalist as a junior in the World Championships way back in 2014 as well, Sofia Bertizzolo, and it is great when you see a rider get that first big World Tour win.
Yeah, and of course taking a lot of time there to thank her teammates and also saying how special it is to be in the yellow jersey tomorrow, and taking the time, not just the teammates but also the staff as well as part of the team, the DS, the mechanics, the soigneurs, everyone that forms that support crew when you go to one of these races. And of course it is a big operation to go out there at this sort of event, and she's delivered, and it was such a spectacular finish. I really can't get over how close it was on the line, and yeah, kept us guessing right to the end, but loved that. I think she still can't quite believe it herself, can she? Just keeps shaking her head.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? This is what we live for, isn't it, in sport? And these moments where someone who has been right at the top of their game and been so close, as we said, second in races like Trofeo Alfredo Bindo in her career, is second in Plouay recently behind Meisha Brady. And that was interesting watching them, the two of them sprinting it out at the finish, and both of them on the podium. Let's try and put that together into some highlights for you. It was a big day out for Clara Honsinger of EF Education Tivco SVB. She did have a gap of 3.5 minutes at times. They knew they couldn't let Clara go and leave 3 minutes for very long.
Yeah, so when we came on air, it was about 3.5 minutes, and then it came tumbling down. There was a lot of work from multiple teams behind, and we saw that gap very quickly go down to that 2.5 minute mark. and then quickly it went under that 1 minute. And here we go, 40 seconds as we start the final categorised climb of the day. We had 3 categorised climbs today. We saw the final one as part of our coverage, and it was Damie Vollering on the front for SD Works, who closed that gap finally, and the day was over for Clara Honsinger there of VF Education Tipcoat.
That lead into that climb there from Damie Vollering launched everyone up the climb. Niamh Fisher-Black took maximum points over the top of the climb. Karina Schrempf's late move, though, it looked like it was going to go all the way to the line. 200 metres to go. The lead out from Marlon Reusser, then Damie Vollering launching Misha Bredevold, but it was Sophia Bertizzolo who came through on the line just as Schrempf sat up to celebrate and loses it by about the width of a tyre and the width of a deep section rim there, unfortunately. But Sophia Bertizzolo taking her first big World Tour victory here in the Tour de Romandie for the UAE ADQ team. The 26-year-old Italian gets that win, takes it ahead of Karina Schrempf and Misha Bredevold's up there in third spot. They did a great job, did the team. Those sort of finishes are always really interesting, though, aren't they? As we said on the run-in, it can be just sometimes a little bit of chaos and mayhem when we haven't got Lorena Wiebes, Charlotte Kool, Elisa Balsamo, those sort of sprinters winning a race.
And you've got the likes of Cassie Niewiadoma making, 10-plus attacks in the final sort of 40k of racing, and you know, we've got riders that are climbers, riders going for the overall. No one wants to lose time. There was bonus seconds available as well, so of course she's got that 10-second bonus. So a lot of different teams with different agendas coming into that finish. A lot of riders trying to do different things. It was never a dull moment there. It was just attack after attack with barely anything getting any daylight. So fair play to Karina Schrempf there, Finnish to Koenig, for making that move just over 2k to go and getting the gap that she did. That really, you know, made the finish for me, the fact that she had that sort of gap. And of course it was still a sprint in the end, but wow, spectacular racing.
Yeah, and look, and if we look, you know, looking forward to tomorrow. Last year it was a summit finish win for Ashley Moolman-Pasio, and looking at the way we weren't potentially sure on Damie Vollering's form coming into this one, but she was looking good today. The way she just ramped it up into that climb, the lead out that she did there in the finish for Misha Bredevold. But Niamh Fisher-Black, Anna Shackley, they're both looking really, really strong as well.
Yeah, well, the whole of the SD Works team looked good, which, you know, we've been saying all season. You know, that sort of goes without saying almost. I think Damie Vollering, for me, was racing very smartly. She wasn't doing too much work. She did her part for the team in the lead out. We saw her ahead of Misha Bredevold, but she wasn't making attack after attack. She was being patient. She was following when she needed to. She was keeping an eye on her rivals for the overall, but she wasn't, you know, trying to go for any opportunity herself. So definitely, for me, she's the one to watch tomorrow. Of course, she's the Tour de France champion. You know, she's the big favourite on a climb like we do have. But yeah, particularly what stood out for me was how sort of patient she was throughout the day, following, not being too aggressive, just biding her time.
Some beautiful pictures we're getting of Yverdon-les-Bains, the capital of the Jura-Nord-Vaudois district in French-speaking Switzerland. It's it has a rich historical heritage and cultural activities that you have here in our Finnish town. So really a part of the world that is steeped in history is Yverdon-les-Bains. 6,000 years of history they have here. Onto the podium, it's Sophia Bertizzolo. The day belongs to the Italian from UAE ADQ. The final lead out that she got from Silvia Persico after great work by the team delivers her that first World Tour victory. And there's your top 10. Sophia Bertizzolo, Karina Schrempf hangs on for second. Misha Bredevold takes third. Paladin, Van Empel, Erich, Rosemangana, Chabet, Adreist, and Lack. Your top 10. Some interesting names getting themselves up there in the top 10. Nice skate park at the side. Everyone to go and enjoy afterwards.
Yeah.
So good to see all the youngsters out here as well. It's a yellow jersey and a first World Tour yellow jersey for Sofia Bertizzolo in her career. And you just hope this is the moment as well for her, that now she's had this first World Tour win in that manner, that she manages, that it now starts to snowball. And it's a small advantage. We expect the gap to be much larger at the summit tomorrow.
I think, like she was saying, though, it's nice to be able to wear a yellow jersey. You know, it's a symbol that people understand. You know, outside the world of cycling, it's a obviously a very famous jersey. And I think just to be able to run a race in that is a special moment for any bike rider. But to be able to do that in a World Tour race, you know, I'm sure she's not going to be expecting to be winning on the mountaintop finish tomorrow. You know, there's a lot of big names here that we've sort of highlighted for tomorrow's stage. But still, a very special moment for her and her team to have that yellow jersey. And enjoy everything that comes with that. Enjoy the media attention, enjoy the podium ceremonies, everything else as well.
It is such a special time, though, isn't it? This kind of moment. And when you haven't done it for a while, it's reminding yourself almost what to do in a way. And when you win the first stage, you get multiple jerseys. So you're the star of the show throughout.
Leading the sprint classification here. Nice orangey yellow jersey. A lot of outfit changes behind the scenes.
So the Lottery Romandie jersey for the sprint classification, which looks like this, 50 points. Clara Honsinger, you can see they're up there in second with 30 points. Karina Schrempf also with 30. Clara Honsinger picking up those points at the two intermediate sprint points out along the route with her near 90-kilometre breakaway. We are going to move on to our Queen of the Mountains jersey. And it is a blue jersey. It's a Premio Energy jersey, and it's Los Aires of FDJ Suez, who leads in the Queen of the Mountains classification.
Yeah, there was 3 categorised climbs today, all third category climbs. Tomorrow, just 2 categorised climbs, but they are both first category, so more points available.
And there's your points classification on the Queen of the Mountains. Los Aires leading from Niamh Fisher-Black, Clara Honsinger with Nubia Doma, Chachira, Vollering, Vinke and Moolman Passio up there. But as Joanna said, big points on offer tomorrow during the stage and on the line tomorrow. And we are moving on to our best young riders jersey. It's Misha Bredevold, who is in the Banque de Le Mans best young riders jersey. Having a great season, Misha Bredevold.
She's having a fantastic season. It still surprises me that she counts as a young rider because, of course, she's had some brilliant wins. But yeah, white jersey for her going into tomorrow.
And there's your best young riders classification. Misha Bredevold leading from Van Empel, Eglantine Reyer in third with Niamh Fisher-Black. You've got Elena Ivanchenko, Anna Shackley, Ricarda Baumfine, Carolina Anderson, Reinhardt and Smith are your top 10 in the best young riders classification. Looking around the climbers there, Eglantine Reyer of DSM Firmenich might have designs on that jersey tomorrow. We'll see how the likes of Van Empel climb. Misha Bredevold can climb. We saw her climbing so well in Tour de France Femme 2 years ago as well.
Yeah. Like we're saying, this point of the season, this is the chance where you can surprise people and climb better than what people might be thinking you can do.
The best Swiss rider is Elise Chabet.
reçoit une bouteille apéro Royal Brut des Caves du Paradis à Sierre. Gageons qu'elle la boira sans doute après cette deuxième édition du
It's a nice bottle of bubbly, a little of sparkling wine for the round the dinner table tonight.
Merci, Gérald. Et la générosité d'Élise Chabert.
Nice catch for the flowers as well.
Et nous allons enfin accueillir le prix de la compatibilité qui vient saluer la coureuse qui s'est distinguée par
So we have the
sa générosité.
Combativity Award next, I think. There's the best Swiss rider, Elise Chabet from Yolanda Neff, Steffi Haberlin, Marlon Royster and Petrus Diastany is your top 5 in your Swiss classification. Always good to have a home riders classification, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's good for the home crowd to support and know who their leading rider is, and it's always a little bit of extra morale to get yourself up on the podium as well.
The Combativity Award, understandably, goes to Clara Honsinger, the Café Chicodoro. She will wear the yellow number tomorrow. She is the winner of the Combativity Award. Great day out for the American. Impressive solo ride for Clara Honsinger today. New backpack. Love new backpack for Clara Honsinger. We have great prizes in cycling, don't we?
I won a pressure washer once.
You won a what one?
Pressure washer, like
Did
for
you?
a patio. Yeah.
Nice.